Good afternoon, or whatever time this finds you in. Fanny Howe and I are broadcasting to you today from somewhere in the molecules of Massachusetts. And our two guests will soon be reading to you from their homes in the 6th and 10th arrondissement of Paris. "Thou shalt not divide," said John Cage, "the world into nations." And for a moment today, perhaps we'll inhabit a semblance of that whole. I'm the curator of the Poetry Room, and when it seemed we wouldn't be able to have in-person events this season, I began, like most public programmers, to consider whether this new constraint might catalyze other possibilities and enable the virtual convergence of those we might not otherwise be able to assemble into a physical room in Harvard Yard. And so I dreamt of this reading between, I think it's fair to say, two of the most pioneering women poets in the world. And they did us the great honor of saying yes. And while Zoom does render us disembodied, it also heightens certain kinds of reception and brings to the foreground a quality that's often cited as a critique of poetry, but which is, to my mind, one of its greatest capacities: to be abstract. If by that word is meant something akin to what Henri Michaud described when he said that to be abstract is to, quote, secure one's freedom. And by extension, as Notley might put it, the freedom of one's, of others. I cannot think of two poets who have achieved, both in their work and person, such freedom, such access to the real, seeming almost to have seared through the layers of constructs and dichotomies that constrain us, to have attained what Simone Weil describes as the anonymous, the impersonal, the true. Continuously, fiercely even, they have refused to pattern themselves on the thinking of anyone, which is the primary definition of dissent. "I have given up most of what the world thinks one should have," writes Alice, "for poetry, to be a poet. I possess very little and am free." And in Of Cities and Women, Etel writes, "Under the most oppressive regimes, a man, a woman, can keep and experience their freedom. Freedom is a state of mind. It is born and often dies in the mind. It's often called dignity, refusal, rebellion." Their dissent is not merely a negative, a rejection, but a dissent that presents radical alternatives and galvanizing visions, a dissent, in other words, that beckons. Here to contextualize their lives and works and the communities from which they emerged is someone who herself embodies these vital convictions and veracities, the one and only Fanny Howe. Please join me in welcoming her.
Hi to you out there, and thank you, Christina, for this opportunity to introduce two, as you say, of our greatest living writers. They're speaking from Paris now, where they both live, but I'm going to go back to a time in California where we all once lived and where I first met Etel, especially. This was years ago when I first knew her, but it's very poignant now to think back. Leslie Scalapino was alive, Barbara Guest and Joanne Kiger were there. Poets were good friends and interested in each other. They had angelic intellects, as Etel might say. Simone Fattal was producing books from her post-Apollo press and making sculpture. Etel was the daughter of a Syrian father and a Greek mother who gave birth to her in Beirut and then sent her to France for her education. She traveled widely and lived for many years in Sausalito under the shadow of Mount Tamalpais. She now has a home back in Paris. So this is really a great feat of a miracle almost that the world can allow such traveling to take place and people to remember each other. Etel has taught philosophy, written and painted colors that are like reflections from the inner life, colors and shapes that are bright and beautiful. In the 1990s, some of us would gather at their house on Marie Street in Sausalito to read and study Heidegger. The real, as described by Heidegger, was Etel's quest and foundation as an artist. It comes up in her poetry and prose, even in her recent book, Surge. She and Bob Grenier were a good match in these discussions. Etel is certainly one of the most intelligent people I ever met, one of those that the angel of birth let through with all human knowledge intact. Ever a teacher, she went deep at once and we all followed her. She is, as many poets are, a philosopher who forged the vocabulary into parts of the living world. She also knew the crushing reality of war and displacement. She wrote through these conditions so acutely, she has a large following in Europe and the Middle East. There is a longing in her work, the kind that comes from all directions, both ancient and beyond modern. We are all incredibly lucky to hear her read tonight. And she will be first, and then Alice Notley will read. She too has lived in Paris since the early 90s, when she left an exuberant youth in New York City, a childhood in Needles, California, and 2 sons in the USA. Both of her sons are poets, as was her husband, Ted Berrigan, and so she's the steward of a luminous tradition, or trade, whatever we want to call a pressing necessity that circulates in a family. She carries with her one of the greatest times in American poetry, living during the second wave of the New York poets, learning from them and contributed much that's fertile and propitious in friendships and in work. Bernadette Mayer, Maureen Owen, Eileen Miles, Anne Waldman, to just name a few. Alice's thoughts have roamed far from those days and have become ever more profound and luminous and lonely. The pronoun one has taken on a new form in her poems. I remember Leslie Scalapino speaking of her pleasure in discovering the uses for the pronoun one in order to overcome I as the overseer of sentences. Now Alice has taken this capacity to the limit marvelously in her new book, For the Ride. It's as if a whole branch of poetry blew off the trunk and whipped across the grass, carrying blossoms, buds, and snowballs on the twigs, a new sound and length. This branch was not trying to flee its mother, but the wind was to blame. The wind from cities and highways and subways that twisted the usual path of it. Now it picks up the names for itself in a fresh sound, but same meaning, like one for all. Alice, who names all the parts of life flying by, including the bodies and souls of the dead. Her cargo heads through the underworld, then up to light here. I'm astonished by the highs and lows and the sideways too of her thinking. She, to me, is one of the wandering hermits who drop trails of messages behind, both as warnings and as the insights that help the rest of us endure this transubstantial world. And now Etel will read for us.
Il faut allumer. Non, non, pas trop. C'est un peu Etel, juste quoi lire, chérie. Juste. Yeah. This is my latest book, and it's called Shifting the Silence. Yes, the shifting. After the return of the tide and my own, a question rushes out of the stillness and then advances an inch at a time. Has this day ever been before, or has it risen from the shadows, from a line, a sound? When we name things simply with words preceding their meaning, a cosmic narration takes place. Does the discovery of origins remove the dust? The horizon shimmering slows down all other perceptions. It reminds me of a childhood of emptiness, which seemed to have taken me near the beginnings of space and time. Now, dark animals roam in the forest. You could touch them. A particular somnolence takes hold of you when the shadows start growing. Then the heart creates different beats. You want to touch the leaves. Look intensely at each tree. The night falls, already tired, already bare. The size of the future is not any longer than these alleys, and questions are falling and falling. But to go by a narrow gully, find the tide at its lowest, watch ducklings follow their mother in search of evening food, is a sure way to some kind of an illumination. I am wearing the rose color of Syria's mountains, and I wonder why it makes me restless. Often my body feels close to sea creatures, sticky, slimy, unpredictable, more ephemeral than need to be. From there, I have to proceed as an avalanche of snow is falling. That's what the radio had just said, that entire villages have been made invisible, but they are far away. The news never comes from my immediate environment. And having more memories than yearnings, something is unnameable. Sicily's orchards or Lebanon's are thinning in waters. I reach a land between borders, unclaimed, and stand there as if I were alone, but the rhythm is missing. What is not missing is fear. It's a matter of arteries clogged, of long hours of sleeplessness, of the lack of resolution for any outstanding problem. My feet are sliding on a wet floor, but I have to thank my good luck. I leave the horizon deal with my terror. Why, oh why? I miss the cosmic energy of ancient Greece. They loved their gods, to whom everything was given, save the supreme power. Free, none of them were, in the absolute sense. Only Zeus was, though his arbitrariness was often looked at with a critical eye. Prometheus was chained because he rebelled, and he was condemned to suffer an opposite but equally radical punishment, to turn and never rest. There was a raw cruelty to their world, but I miss them just the same. To put one's feet on the rocks of Delphi is worth damnation. And to Citiolo, the offerings for the oracle are still coming. For me, the pain of dying is going to be the impossibility of visiting that site one more time. When you have no way to go anywhere, what do? Of course, nothing. But that's no answer. So let so many replies go unformulated as a liberation of thought. So many tides uselessly advanced, so many desires are buried. The mind gets tired too. In the middle of the night, I measure the cold outside, the silence. To speak Greek is to use most of Aristotle's own words, but I rely on Aeschylus. He reminds me of the mystics from Bukhara. He placed Prometheus on Mount Etna, linking him to Empedocles. How can one live away from their circle? But returning to my condition, if I had to choose a place to spend the night, what would it be? At this point, I will turn my back and go into my room. The major part of the beauty of the world I will ignore, if not all. There are so many islands I dreamed of visiting. Where have they gone? They're probably lying where they have always been. Do they possess a consciousness all of their own? I would think so. They are probably like the peacock who recognized me after all the years I had been absent, when he made a loud sound of a kind I had never heard and made me joyful. He stirred a kinship between us. That was at the end of a game for a world championship, a European football game. England against Colombia, the British team playing war, the South American playing for the fun of it, always the same stories. The peacock followed the excitement. It was late at night and he couldn't sleep. Thank you. Ça suffit? Yeah, would that do?
That was wonderful.
Alice?
That was really beautiful. Can you hear me?
Yes, Alice.
I'm going to read from this book, For the Ride, which is very difficult to describe. and I'm never quite sure what's going on in it myself. So I'm going to read this little description of what I'm going to read. I'm going to read the second chapter, which is called Save the Words. And then I'm going to read 3 shorter poems that are from later in the book. Okay, so at the point where I start reading, the primary consciousness of the poem, this book is one poem, is called One, with a capital O. There has been a planet-wide catastrophe, and one finds oneself in a glyph that has walls in which images are projected that gradually become other characters and actions. So there's by now one, some people called the breasted and unbreasted soul suckers, which are not quite named yet. Parts 1, who's in a coma, which may be a generalized coma, and who's selling parts, auto parts morphing into parts of speech, and Key, the shaman. Oh, and there's Wideset and the shaker, the latter chasing the former. This is very chaotic because this is about chaos, okay? Meanwhile, the shaker, the latter chasing the former, meanwhile, once been told by Key to make a new language. And that's what this book is about, making a new language. And it's emerging that there will be one pronoun, one, and mostly one tense, the present. The model for the glyph is the Monet paintings of water lilies in the basement of l'Orangerie in Paris. So there is a pond in this chapter I'm going to read. And in this pond, there are a lot of potential and discarded words. But you're not supposed to be that anchored as a reader. You're supposed to go with it. You and somewhat they and myself don't know what's going on. Okay. One more swallow of water and then I will unleash a torrent of words. A lyric of one. O object, come to one's heart existing again. One wants to like a thing or one as in the past. Oh, one doesn't like now. One is differently gathered about one's core, a tiny one in the mind's eye of one. The ones call out of small frogs' throats to each other in the black-brown pond, the copper swirled pond where the lights within one, within the wall of sight, within the connection between ones. Here's what happens urgent in an Asian hotel, see glyph wall. Asian one-breasted must die for others. Doesn't make sense already. Have to tell it, the ones named France stab her for the good of others, immigrants like one. France is one, doesn't know, stabbed, carried out blanketed, and retarded boy who must be France's son cries. One now crying for pastly ways one's language makes one's die for good of other ones, stabbed for language. Wouldn't one say? One wants hidden in black wall to be key, shamanistically dead. One is the dead one, immigrant. One is the dead one named France. One's not even French. One's like dead, foreign one's France. That's the dead. One forgot to say one is once an immigrant pastly, or is one? Sorry, one's dead. That's the language in the wall of fake brain. There's no real brain. There's no science. One is the dead, so alive. Shamanistically, the dead key, dark in the wall of all, speaks from pond mouth black. Thickening voice of the glyph asserts, one's amoeboid now in the dike. Splits into more per line. Why per line? So one's more complex. Several stories go on as the willows writhe or the yellow scribbles aimlessly paint. Try to decipher more than one. Some pains for France's murder sees one's pastly heart. Isn't it there? Heart or France or the one? Doze between amber wake-up calls, parts stores calling more business. Need ones to buy more coma gears, neutral 1, 2, or 3 more. Slower, faster, neutrals present. One wants to get to where one is. Don't the lilies spinning cry for theft? Any words to get there. One's up as all night, there's no night. One mixes with other ones, dream or story, pains in the ass, oh, an academy, subterfuge matter, loves the one. It's a lurching of one bodily towards, what's that anatomy? Shamanistically, mouth's obliterating monad goes into third or fourth gear of neutral, blocks lurchers out of way. One's here to stay in coma, can't organize into classes, kingdoms, phyla, or dinner. One reels bodily at one to suck talent out of one's mouth. Mouth kisses yellow of deceit. But Glyphis is one's lover. Key in the mouth. Key is one's mouth. Before the one can suck soul shouts, go back into the pond scum. Two formed for chaos. Backs off but stays near other greedy one with breasts that wants one's soul too. Part store calls up, one needs more parts. One knows, but it's a static war. That's the problem with neutral gear. One can't get away from one's except via key, slipping soul into some pocketed words. Key takes one back to where one is. Can't explain anything. Is. Want to explain. Amoeboid has to split off to nothing. One asks what's just happening. One demands presently visual clarity. Why? One, because the one was being taken advantage of. The one was, but when amoeba splits, one is still the others, remember? Yes, the others are poets, primal category, some ones like oneself, trying to read primal glyph, but one's rather in the primal glyph. Yes, dear, the two want power in the glyph. Already? Not ready. Recap. One without breasts and one with. With desires without, who's empowered. In some other wall cliche or pawn configuration, chaos's toy. Without wants one, because one's the best poet of the three of them. More soul to suck. Is original amoeba opened glyph door. Without gropes towards one, spurning with. Without feels entitled to one. No one's entitled to one. Awakens sweating to cool off in the pond. One wants to stop all that from happening, already happening, key. One means that one's key now in wall vert, suddenly green and deep, drown un peu in the cool, sheltered from breath. One dies further, floats in parts of, let someone down. Does one let someone down? Would thing happen, arrive without the words? Wide-set eyes won't love one enough, enough. Love, strip the sound off, floats away green and stark. What's left then? The one stop moving at all. Language not abstract, dear. Shaman Key screams a word, blah, and Key laughs. Words fluid of motion. Wide-set eyes now running from the shaker. Shaker tries to catch up, run, one, run. Key says, this is one definition of the verb nude. One has nothing on but motion away. Wide-set shouts, one is not gonna put up with one's anger wind. Cough of reigning lover. Key says so, meaning Key is speaking Wide-set's verbiage. Wide-set just an image. Without one to see one, one is dead. Safe in oligarchy of the prior. Key says one can escape. Who says it? Or one can't. These beauty lines willowed will hurt the mind, running into the mouth of the next wall. Key shouts, next image, please. Can't tell the difference between words and anything that one sees. Let one see. Have to run. Shamanic math screams, ones need more inflection. Describe the shaman's gender. Key has none, not at all. Key shouts, auto parts store, sell me some cams, sparklets in one's headlets. One's headlet needs a new term of address. Just have one in stock. One runs from one. That is, Whiteset's trying to be one's own oneness. Shaman Key is the voice. Who else could be? Run, Whiteset, run and go. Get an unlisted phone, fun on the steep, earrings go bleep of care, down in underworld, nearly, or was it underglyph, nude, wild. One has no home, is glad, just the glyph one's hiding in. Like for now, Whiteset hides in a green swirl on the pond, not breathing. That one's safe. Someone in this consciousness is in underglyph, not Whiteset, but one under the pond that's not wet. One can't drown there. One finds fishy words. Under one sings a black floating one, like a black cheese skin, oh lank. Another similar floating skin, Hanky cries, not to talk about it. About what? The one says, floating likewise, all splayed, safe in silly postures, safe in something. Words crowd round, big old rags, skin rags. Ones are cut out, different shapes of beige, black, brown, or just muddy. In the underword, chill. Ones need a you, shy you. Do the ones here mingle? What about the we shit? Forget it, relax. Ones are cut off from the bod, pieces of what's called whole. One's just the skin of a word. Where are the innards? Pretending to be smart up in the no air. Does one want verb tenses? Shredded. One was a tense, says a tense, all flopped out. One was another part, says one, who can remember. And are ones known as anything but words here in wet? Does one have a story? One's never wanted to be anything but wet. One remembers the wet. Someone tried to kill one, floppy killing floppy neath the dark pond. One's here don't know which one does anything, thus or as to a why. One now becomes what one can become. Hanky becomes body shaped like a trick. Oh, now one's a word, real category. Bless one's hat or teeth. Collapses. What's the point? One wants nothing. The one feels quite relaxed. The skin's so undermined. One's just a hack, standing up pretending to be meaningful. Nothing can happen. Who wants a structure? God? I am God, says some skin. Word collapses. The word God collapses. Who cares? One's going further, says the one, diving down in element. Is one looking for one? One's looking for language. Don't know why. Why don't know? One told to invent new language. By a figment. Boom. Ones are some figments. Invent this one, says a shapeless, cloudy stain in the non-water. Please invent one. What could this one be then? One wants to be the word love. Already have it. One wants to mean new love. Take under advisement. Substantives aren't substantial here at all. Just some part of one helping one get by, molecules, follicles. What's here are so flaccid. Don't fall in love. One's about falling in. Does one want to fall in the new lung? No, says the one. One wants to be languid, not breathe even. One wants more, says the word to be. For fuck's sake, why, says one. One has had it. Potential words murmur. What is it? One wants reality. And what's that? One already is, says one. That seems enough to one. One's want to be words, singing heads of light. It's just so intensely back to what was, past tense. Haven't had it. One's always here, but a one's renewable, as almost from scratch. One remembers too much. Love has killed one. What tense is that? Past love, that's a tense. When one enters into a rock, one can't regulate. It's too hard. Death exists to make it harder. They're just words though here. The words to be crowd round, not separate. That's the first thing to know. Lyric from nowhere. The death word or message swims in one's wild cells. Those that refuse to be docile, grave, giving in to the system. Oh, death wanted one to depart for the night, its other hand, conglomerate of words cohering. Love loves or hates that. One had always wanted to be in love, how stupid. Managing no more the stores of orderly auto parts, words. What was one saying? A shambles of different sized stones melting in one's head. More stuffs arranged in front appears to one under the non-water. One's an ideogram for life, one says. Isn't one special, says the one. Everyone's an ideogram, it says, pear head, arms and torso, an old ankh. Oh, says one, this is so dumb. One's going to zap one, says the ankh sign, changing one's thoughts into some Egyptian ones. Behold, one's eyes. Eyes are now two buzzards, see with vulture-shaped eyes. Once composed of bird shapes in the sight place, looking at stylized pics, underwater refle, hieroglyphs for the procession of things. Well, why not? What has one ever seen with one's hand-me-down optical process? But don't want that one to present one with real. It's so cool, pleads the ankh. Flowering plant, feathers, half-disc, girl. Chanteuse, please, says the one. Don't want it, fussy, says the ankh, pleading. Parade of lovely signs, owls, barley, asps. The world seen in first words. Dissolve this. Servant of a sovereign, one is going beyond. One's more ancient than any of this, older than signs, than tense for old. Older than the new love. That's when old stops, back when the first ones stuck together, or before one could talk. One could always talk, even if not doing it as yet. Tenses, hate them, rules of syntax. Can't figure out how to say anything but talking in one's head. See the shapes sticking together like love, fucking sentences. Vultures fly, land, and stick to the desert. Stars look like the word stars. Really do, ones really do, and sparkle is better as its word. Thus be story of world. What else can one live out on page or reel? Returning to chaos, the first sender, re-emphasize and change, meander as one does. Meandering Egypt is all profiles, clear-cut thus. One is frontal, dissolving, falling into firstness, swimming, swarming with words no one understands, partial P's and Q's, masters of universe. One is that simply by being here now? One is floundering in underglyph. One doesn't know, can't think straight. As of old, when la langue was pure, when one said was, not like now. It's all now with pronouns and space lost and no quotidian. Pretty chaotic, just about ready to hear prophetic, yet not future tensed, wordlets. Behold, now is the time to save us. It's that some voice of words says it. Words themselves want to be saved. World is coming to an end means word is coming to an end. In the global warming destruction of one's species as is known, loss of language as one is the whole show. Build an arc of words. One's supposed to be inventing new language, definitely tearing down the old of gender, tensile submission, what all, pomposities to enslave one, tear it down as one's save one's. Arc of salvation and destruction of the old at same time. Wake up, tear it down, and save one. One is the species, words are. Poem. If one has left everything but a direct quotation from the soul, how is it that that is still divided from the one in the gray day of this night? Speak to me while I am unconscious. Ancient harbor, I almost remember the worst of my dreams. where the sails are nets. I am supposed to be stable, eternal, but I grieve. Where are my others when there are no survivors on the shores of air? I can't find thee. You haven't arrived. The flocks of white-winged moths, though I know you live, for I do. There is no eternal solace, only ever the one moment, and I am stable as the center of time, but in my time I am its tone as well as its rock for air in each air. Oh, I am a translation as you'd hear, seeking my true language. Help me, O dulce medicum, O heart words that are my blood, understood only by me until now, until this haunted now. Poème. Mon histoire, ignoble et tragique, comme le masque d'une femme oubliée, m'échappe. Aucun détail reste du meurtre sauf ma connaissance. Dans l'hôtel de ville, dans l'hôtel des particules, des opales mots. Buveuse de l'opium de ma mort, je rêve d'une chambre sale et beige. Personne n'est là, mon corps est là. Moi, je suis dehors à nulle part. Qui m'a tué? La drame des hommes ou quelqu'un? C'est ton monde à toi où les gens suivent les autres jusqu'au moment sanguinaire. Ton vrai amour. Poem. Someone has a container containing a few pearls. We're eyeballs. One must change again, feels a hardness against the past as it goes, foot on the street of magenta thoughts abloom like witchy gauze. And one is transformed in a crystal momentary pull, pulled up into a much larger thought, towering like Aldebaran dear red. One is as big and as forgetful as rocks. Speaking tourmalines, beryl, plagioclase, hemimorphite, cinnabar, Apache flame agate, lunar and solar eclipses, meteor showers, halos of space dust. Nothing will ever love one again. Struck by lightning or icebound, everything's happening backwards. One started here or always saw it. I knew there was no way to portray me, and I was left primordial. One knows there is no way to portray one, and one is left primordial, but one is not left. One is articulate, finally, articulated.
C'est bien.
Dis-lui que c'est bien. Dis-lui que c'est bien.
Quoi?
Dis-lui que c'est bien.
Formidable.
Formidable. Toi aussi, formidable.
Inoubliable. Forget it.
Bon, Etel, allume là-bas.
Qu'est-ce que je fais?
Allume la lampe.
Does that happen every day in Paris?
What?
This kind of.
We wish.
No, we did something great.
Merci.
We are us.
We are us.
Bravo.
Please, audience, please feel free to unmute yourselves and say hello.
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 Hello, Alice. Hello,
Hola.
Etel.
Say your names.
Extraordinary. It's Leanne.
Hello, Etel, Slim,
Hi.
San Francisco.
Hey, Leanne.
Hello, Alice.
Hola, Esti.
How are you?
Paris. Je t'embrasse tous
Ah,
Hi, Etel.
Good to hear.
Merci beaucoup, Etel.
Hi, Alice.
Thank you. Etel,
Thank
Etel,
you so
I love
much.
you.
Thank you.
see you all.
Oui, tous les deux.
Oh,
Tellement belle.
Thanks, Etel.
Ron, thank you so much.
hello.
Thank you so much.
We are very,
Merci
very lucky.
beaucoup.
Hearts.
Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you, Alice.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice and
There's no
Etel.
letters.
Beautiful.
Reading.
Hello.
Thank
Wonderful,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. How beautiful.
Thank you,
Muchas
dear one.
Thank you
gracias.
so much.
Thank you, guys.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you,
Merci
Etel.
beaucoup.
Hello,
Love
où
you.
est-il?
Love you.
Thank you
Merci.
so much.
Thank you.
C'est
Thank
pas elle, c'est qui, j'ai oublié. C'est pas elle.
Merci, merci Etel.
Hello.
Thank you, merci, thank you.
Thank you, Adele.
Thank you so much.
Alice.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank
Thank you very much. Incredible.
Thank you.
Hi, Mom.
J'adore, maman.
Thank you. Thank you for such a beautiful.
Thank you, Etel.
Just
Oh. Mes amis, maman.
thank you, Christina, for organizing.
Yes.
This feels overwhelmingly wonderful.
I'm crying, so I'll have to go.
So beautiful, Etel and Alice.
And Fanny, that was a beautiful.
And Fanny.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Fanny. Thank you, Fanny.
Thank you, Fanny.
Happy
birthday, Fanny.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Fanny.
Thank
It's
you.
your birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
Fanny,
Happy
I'm going
birthday,
to
Fanny.
take a big glass of champagne for
Oui.
you.
Every bubble.
Hello, Etel and Simone, it's Amiel.
Hey,
Miss
Oh,
you
hi.
so much.
Amiel. Happy birthday, Fanny.
Hello, Simone. I see you
Hello,
in there
Simone.
too. Hi, Etel, Simone.
Simone, hello. Hello.
Why don't we see Lynn Tillman? Where is she?
I'm hiding. I'm hiding.
Writing.
I'm still in my bathrobe.
Oh, well.
Know your face? We've seen bathrobes before.
But not attached to me.
Etel says it's a homecoming for her.
Oh, oh, wonderful. That's so wonderful. God.
So wonderful to all of you. Thank you.
Hello, it's Fanny in New York. Yes. Yes.
Ah, oui, oui.
Yeah. Yes. Hello, Etel. And Simone.
Dis-lui bonjour. Approche-toi. un peu. Ouais, approche-toi.
Sarah Riggs, I love your translations.
Thank you. Congratulations, Alice and Etel on this
Hello.
reading.
Hi,
Fanny, Simone, thank you so much.
hi, Sarah. Ça, c'est
Sarah
Riggs. Sarah, yeah. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
There's a cat up there waving at me. Where's June?
She's in school
Oh, she's in person school.
today.
Goodness. You were all three there? Did you listen, Sylvie?
No, because I just got out of school.
All right. You're absolved.
Fair enough.
C'est beau moment, hein?
Oui, très beau.
C'est très beau.
Hello. Ça, c'est Bonnie. Bonnie.
We should do this again next week.
Oh, hi.
I feel fortified for the
Hi,
speech.
Denise. Denise Newman.
Bye.
I think next week works for everyone, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, we're all home.
We are having Cecilia Vicuña and M. Norbese Philip read together next. So.
Yes.
The Year of Women.
Every year.
Only to be followed by the next Year of Women. Yeah, exactly.
I want to jump in and say, Etel, so many of us are here from Rawi, the Radius of Arab American Writers, which
Yes.
you used to be the president of.
Yes. C'est une écrivain de Rawi, dont tu étais la présidente. Rawi. Ah, Rawi.
Thank you so much. We're so happy to be here with you. Your work has changed our lives and it's given us a home. Thank you, Simone, for translating, if you can.
Yes.
Merci, Etel.
Rawi. How is Rawi doing?
We're good. Hi, I'm George. I'm actually Rawi's board member right now.
Good.
Thank you again. I can't say enough thank yous. And how life-changing this has been. It's just an honor to be here in the same Zoom room as you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Okay.
I think next stop Paris for all of us, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Inshallah.
miss you in Paris.
Hello. Hey.
Hey, hello, Simone. Hello, Etel. It was marvelous. Love you, miss you.
It's not too early for you.
No, I can get up early.
Alice, you were wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
It was so nice to do this.
Yes, I'm sure. I was so happy to be with you.
Your poems were beautiful, Etel.
Demande-lui, Etel, elle te dit que tes poèmes étaient très beaux. Oh, thank you.
Is Kazem on here or Stephen? When does the book come out from Nightboat?
A week or so ago, 2 weeks ago.
Did it just come out?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I got a copy like 2 weeks ago.
Ah.
I've already reviewed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, c'est pas bien. Where did you review it?
I reviewed it on my site. I sent it to your publisher, and I can put a link into the comments.
Oh, good.
Yeah, put a link there.
I am clever that way. Look how clever I am.
Good old rap.
Demande à Alice où elle est, à New York. Ici à Paris, dans le 10e. Elle est à Paris.
Oui, je suis à Paris.
Ah.
Je suis ici toujours. C'est très difficile à sortir.
Ouais, tu es à Paris.
Oui.
Quelle bonne nouvelle. Great news.
Ok, ça serait bien.
Great.
I think we should all call someone after this.
Alice est à Paris.
So I don't want to cut anything short. So if people want to speak for a few more minutes, and then Alice picked a fun departure tune. Alice, do you want to contextualize this departure song from your past?
It's just I've always imagined myself walking down an aisle and up an aisle in a room to stand on stage to read with this playing while I was walking. Particularly in the parish hall at the Poetry Project, I think it would be great. Okay.
We'll make that happen.
Okay.
Shall we play it and people can stick around and sign off as they care to? Or does anyone else want to say some words of love?
I'm exhausted.
Okay, all right.
That was a torrent of words.
Okay, so cue the music here.